Hello, I'm Scott Hamilton, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast. Episode 21 is a review, not just of the movie Shaft, the 2019 version, but I'm also going to review the Best Buy exclusive 4K Ultra High Disc Blu-ray edition, because there's some things I have to mention if you're going to buy this thing. By the way, I wanted to say thank you to my podcast subscribers and listeners. Most of our downloads have been in the United States. Why do I keep saying our? It's me. Most U.S. podcasters are the ones listening to me, but I have had quite a few downloads in the United Kingdom, Ireland, Spain, and Norway. So thank you. Much like my radio stations, which is becoming a worldwide thing, which is I'm very proud of and very thankful for you for your support. So, the movie Shaft. It takes place in the same universe as the original 70s movies. If you ever saw those, the blaxploitation movies, it's hard for me to say that as one word, were always a lot of fun to me. I watched them growing up. I grew up in the outskirts of Atlanta, and these were readily available, not only in theaters, but on cable. There wasn't cable back then, but TBS, before it was TBS and cable, was the superstation in Atlanta. It was on Channel 17, and it was movies all the time. So that was a great thing to catch up on as a kid. That's why I saw so many movies early on. They did a Sunday morning show called Academy Award Theater, and I learned a lot about movies watching that one because Bill Tush would host it, and he would give all the background. And even if the movie only won something for like cinematography or sound design or whatever, they showed an Academy Award winning movie every Sunday morning my entire childhood, but I'm getting way off track. I did see the Shaft movie from a decade ago, which was more of an action movie. It was entertaining. I enjoyed that movie. It's not one that's currently in the library because, I don't know. It was good, but it didn't stick with me. I really enjoyed this new 2019 version of Shaft. It is a throwback to me. Comedy movies in the 80s also had serious storylines. If you take a movie like Fletch that was supposed to be a comedy, it was a comedy. It was Chevy Chase through and through, but the story underneath was kind of serious, and life and death stakes were involved. This takes that a little step further, and it does pay tribute to all these Shaft movies that have come before. Start off by saying that Shaft is a very R-rated movie and deserves to be so. It's Samuel L. Jackson unfiltered. But the story, as usual, my reviews they don't have any spoilers in them. I'm spoiler free. Young John Shaft, JJ, Jr., is an up-and-coming FBI agent. He's not quite an agent yet. He's an analyst, and he is the grandson of the original Shaft. There's an opening with the movie that kind of sets him up, but once you get past this opening montage that's hilarious of his life growing up and Shaft not being in his life, and there's a reason. The opening scene, there's a reason why Samuel L. Jackson is not in the kid's life for most of his growing up. Once you get past an incredible montage sequence that goes through the decades, it's really, really funny. You get into his story and how he wants to be an agent. He wants to get into these more serious things, and they're like, you have to learn your place. You're new, and you have to work up to this. And there is the main crux of the story is there is a possible terrorist threat in New York. And funny that the movie was all filmed in Atlanta, my hometown, by the way. It really does look like Harlem when they go there and things like that. So anyway, that's the storyline that's playing underneath. But the movie's really about Junior connecting with Shaft. He eventually needs to go see him for whatever reason. And it is probably one of the most hilarious introductions of a character in a movie I've seen this year. The movie I've seen twice. Because I'm an AMC A-list member, I can go see 3 movies a week. It was a movie that didn't get very good reviews, but I'm like, I love Samuel L. Jackson. I will go see this. And the movie was pretty full. I saw it, I think it was opening night. And everybody had a blast with it. It really is a throwback to 80s and 90s action movies that are comedies that have some serious stuff going on. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of comedy. It's a highly entertaining movie if you're into this kind of thing. Obviously, it's Samuel L. Jackson, and when he's rated R and unfiltered, he's not everybody's cup of tea. I find him quite funny, and the situations that they get put in and things like that. So I would recommend Shaft if you're in the mood for an action comedy. There is not quite enough action to justify the action. I mean, the action scenes are pretty well staged and well filmed, but there's a long stretches of story, of comedy and drama, and I enjoyed the movie better the second time, and to me that's a good mark of a fine film to put in your collection if you like it more as you go on. So I really did appreciate what Tim Story did with the movie. Tim Story is a fairly good director. He's directed everything from Barbershop to the Ride Along movies. He also directed those 2 original Fantastic Four movies, which are not the best superhero movies, but they came out long before there was a Marvel Cinematic Universe and stuff like that, and they're okay for what they are. He could have done so much more with Silver Surfer. But anyway, next up for him, he's directing Tom and Jerry and Ride Along 3, so I guess he's kind of found his niche of things he wants to do. So, Shaft is an entertaining movie. It is not the best movie you will see. If it's streaming one night, you will watch it and be entertained by it and go to sleep and probably not remember it much the next day. There's some really funny scenes that happen in it. I liked everybody in the film. I thought it was well acted for what it was. And even though it's Junior's movie, it's Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, he's in a majority of the movie, and it kind of is his movie. But anyway, long story short, you will be entertained. Now, for the home video release, here's the weird thing. It came out on Blu-ray everywhere and originally was not getting a 4K release. It did. Ultimately, it came out on 4K, ultra high definition disc with a digital copy. It does not come with a Blu-ray. Now, this is a Warner Brothers film. It is a Best Buy exclusive. That is the only place you can buy the disc. And I went ahead and opted for it because I read a review that the 4K was really good. And it really is. The HDR really popped some of the scenes. It was sharper than it looked to me in the theater. So it's a quality 4K disc. I have no complaints about that. But by not including a Blu-ray, there are no extras. I mean, literally, there is nothing on the disc but the movie and a Dolby Atmos soundtrack, which is quite active and quite good as well. I didn't mention that in Black Klansman. It had a really good Dolby Atmos mix as well. So I was hoping with the digital copy, it would unlock the extras. If you're on Vudu or Movies Anywhere, usually a movie that has extras, when you get the digital copy, you will also get all the extras that you can stream. No, you didn't get that either. And maybe they'll add that later. So if you're going to pick up Shaft on home video, know that if you pick up the Best Buy edition, the 4K exclusive, you are only getting the 4K disc and a digital copy that also unlocks in 4K on the streaming services. But you get 0 extras, and the Blu-ray has quite a few extras that I watched a couple of them on YouTube. There's pieces of them anyway. And some of the extras were actually pretty good about getting, I mean, Richard Roundtree is in this movie, not to give anything away. He's on the cover. But you have all 3 generations of Shaft in the film. He's not in a lot, but anyway, long story short. I highly recommend Shaft. If you're going to pick it up on home video, just know that the best with any extras. You are basically buying the movie. It's also cheaper than your average 4K disc, so that. And if you have a 4K setup, I would recommend the 4K disc because honestly, when you watch extras on a movie, you probably watch them once and you never watch them again. So this is not some important epic film that you want to see how it was filmed and how it was made. You'll get whatever mileage you get out of the extras if you're into that kind of thing. I didn't miss them at all. I was just kind of shocked and felt like doing this review to let you know that it's surprising that Warner Brothers did not include a Blu-ray in there because the Blu-ray has all the extras on it. Anyway, Shaft, 2019 version. I was highly entertained. I don't think it made its budget back. We're probably not getting another Shaft movie, but I enjoyed it, and more the second time than the first time. So what does that tell you? I'm Scott Hamilton, ROCKFILE. My website is therockfile.com. It hosts all these podcasts. It has links to my radio stations, my online store. Going to be adding some more links and some more content there. I just kind of threw that up when I started the podcasting thing, so I'd have a one source you could go for all of this stuff. Thank you to everyone who subscribes, downloads, and listens. This is different than radio. When you talk on the radio, you get ratings and things, but unless somebody calls up and say, hey, I like what you said there, you don't really get a whole lot of feedback that people are actually paying attention to what you say. You are streaming my podcast. You are downloading my podcast, so you are paying attention to what I'm saying. And since these are all unedited stream of consciousness kind of things, I'm very flattered, and thank you very much. I don't even know what to say. I'm very flattered that we've had close to 400 downloads already in 2 weeks. So thank you very much for listening, and please share. Sharing is caring. Love you guys.